I'm going to deal with a number of aspects that I will argue to the court that it's striking that you were yesterday in a position in your evidence of the chief to testify about it. I'm going to start with the first one, and let me immediately preface it by saying to you the first point that I'm going to raise would seem to be really insignificant, and that is when you went to bed. And I know it doesn't matter really on the merits of the case whether you went to bed at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 or 12 o'clock or 8 o'clock. But it will be used in conjunction with other points. So I'm sorry about the first point. But what was interesting about your evidence yesterday is this, that you say that in your evidence that you went to bed between 9 and 10. You remember that?
I do, that is correct.
Now, of course, how insignificant it might be. What was interesting, that in your statement, as you will see, you say that you went to bed approximately 9 o'clock. However, in your wife's evidence, she used exactly the same time, not approximately 9 o'clock, but that you went to bed between 9 and 10, the same as your evidence yesterday.
Must I respond, my lady?
Yes.
I don't find it's funny. It's our routine. We are highly routinely based people. And if you have to ask me what time I went to bed 2 weeks ago, I would confidently answer between 9 and 10. That's our, we go to bed, we finish up and retire between those hours.
Mr. Johnson, the point is maybe different. Whilst you would so confidently answer between 9 and 10, that was not your statement. But we'll get to the other points. This is a small one. Your statement was approximately 9 o'clock and not between 9 and 10. It is just a coincidence, perhaps, that your wife testified that it was between 9 and 10, and yesterday when you testified, yours were also then, contrary to your statement, between 9 and 10. That's all I put to you. But it's not because you've discussed it with your wife.
Not at all.
Good. Now, the second point is this. You can go through your statement, and I will not mislead the court, but in paragraph 5 of your statement, 4 and 5, you deal with making a call to the security and the wrong security and whatever, not too important. But what you don't deal with was what was the situation at that time with the woman screaming. You agree?
Milady, that is correct.
You don't deal with it in your statement. Now, will you accept it when I put it to you that likewise, and the statement is before court as Exhibit M, likewise, your wife deals with the telephone call to security, and also in a statement does not deal with whether they were screaming at that time. Will you accept that?
I accept that, yes.
Yeah. Or whether she heard screaming or whether they were screaming, whatever. Same as yours. Both of you in your statements did not deal with it. However, in cross-examination, I asked her about it. And she said words to the effect that at that time she was not focusing on concentrating on the screaming because of the telephone. You understand?
I do.
Of significance yesterday, without the state prompting you, no question from the state in that regard. You tendered evidence consistent with that of your wife that she had not dealt with in her affidavit to say, state and ask you about it. I didn't pay any attention to any sounds coming from the house or the direction. How is that? How is that your wife was cross-examined? It's not in your statement. It is not in her statement. She was then cross-examined about the screaming at the time of the telephone call. And she said that she was focusing on something else, meaning she didn't pay attention. You then, out of your own accord, without the state asking you, go there and say, without anyone asking you, I didn't pay attention to that. How's that?
It's quite simple. It's notes that I made to myself after the advice of Advocate Nikki Maritz. And I've obviously reviewed those notes to remind myself that's a note that I made, that I did not pay attention or wasn't aware of any sounds that came from the direction of where the incident happened, because I was focusing on the telephone call.
Can we see the notes?
I don't have a printed copy available.
Can you tell someone where it is and go and fetch it whilst you're in court, that we can look at the notes?
I have no problem with that. I have a copy on my iPad, which is in the witness room back.
Well, so we can print it, and those notes were made before your statement.
That is correct, yes.
You deserve to know more.
eNCA.com